And alright.
Also, I use the angle 90s for that way my wrists and elbows are not locked up and putting stress on my joints. Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to be reviewing Creed from 2015. Now Creed is a spin-off to the Rocky films where Rocky's not really trained to be a heavyweight champion. At this point in the series, Rocky has officially been retired from fighting, and now he has passed the torch to a new heavyweight champion. In this film, Rocky trains Apollo Creed's son Adonis Creed to be the new heavyweight champion. I'll never forget back when I was in college, around either 2014 or maybe early 2015, when they announced about the Creed film being in development, being made, that Rocky was going to be training and mentoring Apollo Creed's son. I thought, okay, now that's a good idea. That's a good, like, refresh to the series. Because at this point in time, like, how many more times are we going to see Rocky fight? Because, one, he's old and he's had brain damage. I don't think, like, Rocky could not take another day in the ring fighting. So it's a good idea that Rocky passes the torch to a new heavyweight champion. 2015 came out on November 25th, 2015. It grossed $173.6 million at the box office. The film written and directed by Ryan Coogler, who prior to this had directed the film Fruitvale Station with Michael B. Jordan. He directed this film, and he has since done the Black Panther films. He has become an A-list director since then. Him and Michael B. Jordan have been, like, making a lot of films together. The film stars Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed. Michael B. Jordan, as we all know, has been a child actor, and he was on the TV show Parenthood, and he has since then become an A-list big star movie actor. The film also stars Sylvester Stallone as Rocky Balboa, who at this point has just only starred in the films, has not written and directed the films of the Creed films, and has passed the torch. It also has Tessa Thompson, who I had no idea who she was prior to this movie. She plays Bianca, Creed's girlfriend. The film also stars Felicia Rashid, who you all know as the mother from The Cosby Show. And it also stars real-life boxer Anthony Bello. In Creed, Apollo Creed had a son that he did not know about, Adonis Creed. And Adonis Creed never knew his real father, Apollo Creed. He wants to become a boxer because it's in his blood. He asks Rocky for help to train him to be a heavyweight champion and mentor him. Unlike Rocky V, where Rocky tried to pass the torch for the first time, that didn't work out. In this, it worked out better because Adonis Creed did not let the fame get to his head, just like Tommy Gunn did in Rocky V. People see Adonis Creed as if he's not like a real Creed and a real heavyweight boxer just because of his last name. And Adonis Creed wants to prove a point that he's not like his father, that he's just his own person, not trying to live in his shadows of his father. I love Creed the movie, but I will admit, it definitely is a rehash and definitely copies the same form and the same format as the first Rocky film. But at the same time, I still give the film credit and the series credit that they were trying. It's not like it was something like different and original. They were more likely, like, did a great job of like reinventing the series and reinventing the character and trying something different where Rocky's not fighting, Rocky's training, being like Mickey from the first movie. Despite people point that out as one minor flaw to the Creed movie, which is true, but at the same time, I still think it's a great, fantastic film. The first Rocky movie I ever saw in the theater, and also the first Rocky/Creed film in the theater. Ryan Coogler, as I mentioned earlier, who directed Fruitvale Station prior to this, over the last decade he's become one of my favorite film directors. I look forward to seeing more future projects that he has to offer. Him and Michael B. Jordan, the way they always like collaborate together. Kind of like how like when Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese always collaborated all the time. Michael B. Jordan, no, not related to Michael Jordan, the basketball player. He has become one of my favorite actors in the past decade. He plays Adonis Creed. I thought he did an amazing and fantastic job as Adonis Creed. Adonis Creed is the son of Apollo Creed. What I like about his character that he is a flawed character that has a temper anger management issue. Only because he doesn't like to be called Creed Baby Jr. because of, one, he was adopted, and also that he wants to prove a point that he's not a mistake child. He wants to be compared to his father, that he wants to be like his own thing as a fighter. It's an example showing how like comparing yourself to others is a bad thing. Because comparing yourself to others is a bad thing because you have like so much like expectations and so much like live up to about what his father was that he wants to do like his own thing as a fighter. What Adonis Creed does have is that he's definitely born to be a fighter because it's in his blood. It's true they say, like father, like son. Adonis Creed face, just like how like when Apollo said to Rocky in Rocky 3, the eye of the tiger. You can tell that Adonis Creed has that eye of the tiger look and how like hungry and desperate he is to be a heavyweight champion fighter. He reprises his role as Rocky for the 7th time in a Rocky series. But this is the first time in a Rocky series where Rocky did not fight in the ring. At this point in time, Rocky's old and retired, and he's basically like Mickey in this series, like in the first film. He's training a new heavyweight champion, passing the torch. This is the second time that Rocky has tried to pass the torch. The only difference is, in Rocky V with Tommy Gunn, when he tried passing the torch for the first time, the fame got to Tommy's head, where in this film, the fame does not get to Adonis's head. He's trying to prove a point, be his own fighter. And Rocky's giving him tips and advice on being a good fighter and giving him life lessons. I like it how, like, we see how, like, Rocky is, like, older and how, like, he grieves of the loss of, like, Adrian and Paulie, who are long gone. And not only that, a lot of people from, like, Rocky's past are all gone. It shows how, like, as we get older, it's hard, like, making new friends as we get older. I agree with Rocky fans about this film is that even though, yes, Rocky does not fight in this film, but in a different way, he's fighting for a different reason. He's fighting for his life. He gets diagnosed with cancer. At first, he refuses the treatment because he really, like, wants to go and die and see Paulie and Adrian for how desperate he misses them. And also that he feels like as he's getting older that ever since, like, Rocky 4, nothing has ever been the same for him. No matter, like, whether he breaks a leg or whatever else he's got, he just, like, wants to go. Last video about how, like, seeing Rocky Balboa mourn the loss of Adrian reminded me of my grandfather to a certain degree. Seeing, like, Rocky refuse, like, treatment and thinking that nothing can be fixed, it almost reminds me a little bit also of my grandfather, how, like, he really, like, desperately wants to go and see my grandma again for the first time in a long time. It shows how much he really, like, loved and misses her so much. Life that as we get older, that it's hard to imagine, like, life without the people that we love the most. And harder. When Rocky refuses to train Adonis, he decided to give it a try and realize how, like, that even though he's a retired fighter, that he realized there could be more than to do after retiring as a boxer, that there's, like, more different type of opportunities in fighting rather than just fighting. Being a trainer is an example. It's an example showing how, like, when athletes retire, that they think that they're done, but then they don't realize how there's more opportunities after, like, when they're retired from their sport. They can do different things to still be a part of the game and the sport. You think about it, I wonder that the reason why Rocky did not train Adonis at first, because he felt bad and guilty and regretting not stopping the fight that his father died in against Drago. Feeling that he regretted that he should have stopped the fight, despite that Apollo did not want the fight to end. And he was worried about, like, what if, like, history will repeat itself, that what if, like, Adonis died in the fight the same way his father died? Tessa Thompson plays Bianca, who becomes Adonis Creed's love interest. What I love about her character is that she's fun, she's lovable, she's very caring, very supportive, and she really cares about Adonis. Even though she does not know at first that he's related to Apollo Creed, at first she's a little bit shocked about it, but then eventually she comes to her terms and senses to realize that she understands, like, why Adonis did not tell her at first that he was related to Apollo Creed. Talented singer, but it's really sad that she has, like, progressive hearing loss and that she could be on the verge of losing her hearing, going deaf and then mute. Watching this movie yesterday, when seeing them go on their first date, they go get Philly cheesesteaks. Every time I watch this film, it's like, oh man, I'd do anything to have one of those Philly cheesesteaks. They look so good and delicious in the movie. When we saw this in the theater, after seeing the movie, my dad was joking, you were paying attention to Creed's girlfriend, and I was noticing how good those Philly cheesesteaks looked. I will say, Tessa Thompson's a really beautiful woman, a good actress. In the Rocky series, they continue the tradition of the training montages. The training montage in this film, the part when Adonis is running with the motorcyclist gang, kind of reminds me of, like, Rocky 2, when Rocky ran with those school kids to the Philadelphia Museum. I remember seeing that in the theater. I was, like, so pumped up. It made me want to go, like, run a marathon after watching this film. I mentioned before was the mother in the Cosby Show. Here she plays Apollo Creed's widow. Even though that Adonis was not her real son, she adopted and raised him as if it was her own son, and she treated him like a son. Because apparently Apollo Creed had an affair in between films. And happy about the idea of her stepson being a fighter like her father. Because of what happened to Apollo dying in the ring, and prior to that, like, during his boxing career, having injuries, not being able to get up and go to the bathroom or wash his hair, etc., comb his hair. do like the little simple small tasks that we do everyday life. She was not thrilled about Adonis being a fighter, but in the end, she supports him and is thankful that his fighting career like took off and was good, and it's worked out very well. Is that where the heck was Apollo Creed's kids? In the second film, we only saw a glimpse of them. That you would think that this is like about Apollo Creed's son becoming a heavyweight champion boxer, just like their father, that they would want like to be a part of and supportive of their step-sibling, even though that Adonis's step-siblings are not his real siblings, but at the same time, you would think that they would be in this film like for a quick glimpse, like especially when the mother is watching Adonis fight Ricky Conlon, that they would be in the same family room together, all like cheering and praising Adonis's boxing match. Also, where was Rocky's son when Rocky was diagnosed with cancer? You would think that someone would have called up Rocky's son telling him that your father's been diagnosed with cancer, and that he would have flown from Vancouver, Canada, to help his father and treat his cancer. Mentioning how like when Rocky goes to where Mickey's gym used to be, now called Mickey's Golds, sometimes I wonder if I had this theory that the trainer that he talks to, who's probably the boss of the place, is it possible it could have been maybe like either a son or a grandson of Mickey that we didn't know or see about? Even though they don't really mention it, it's not really that important, but still, it makes you like wonder in some ways. Adonis Creed fights in this film, Ricky Conlon, played by real-life boxer Tony Bellew. I mean, he's okay, but you know, it's like, it's the same thing you've seen over and over again with all of like Rocky's opponents being like macho, mean, tough, assholes, and jerks. In fact, the guy really is like an asshole and a jerk because the guy has like no respect for Creed. He badmouths him, thinking that there's like no respect, and there's also like he thinks of him not as a real heavyweight champion fighter. Conference before they even get in the ring, bad-mouthing Creed. And because every time I watch this, it's like I want to see like Adonis beat the shit out of him for how much of an idiot he is and a jerk. Despite that, but in the end, he kind of like comes to his senses and then learns to respect Creed and realizes that he was the future and that there was really more potential than he realized. Of like respect in the end for both of the characters, and for really awesome, as if I was like really, again, every time I like watch more of these like Rocky films, it's hard not to think that you're like watching a real life realistic boxing match. When I saw this in the theater, the moment when Creed is like knocked down, he gets back on up, when the Rocky music goes on, everyone in the audience was like cheering, clapping, like, yeah, come on, get him, get him. It got you like all jazzed and pumped up to see, like, wanted to see Adonis beat up Ricky Conlon. On a retelling of the first Rocky film, but done in a different way with a different type of theme. More like where in the first film, Rocky was trying to like live his dream and overcome his obstacles no matter what, and trying your hardest, whereas in this film, Adonis Creed was like trying to prove his point, where he wanted to prove that he was not like his father, that he was just his own thing, not wanting to be compared to his father. I'm going to point how that he was not a mistake child. Good, very solid, and definitely a good breath of fresh air to the franchise, and something where it's different, but not that it's original, just like something like different where we got to see Rocky do something else other than fight for once. From 2015 series that Sylvester Stallone did not write. He endorsed the film and praised Michael B. Jordan's performance as Adonis Creed, and Michael B. Jordan was flattered and honored to hear that. Made 3 years prior, Sylvester Stallone's son Sage Stallone had passed away. Before this movie, he went through a nervous breakdown, and Ryan Coogler convinced him to make this film in order to use his performance as a way to convince his audience of his performance as Rocky in this film. Sylvester Stallone's overcome his breakdown at the time after when his son had passed away. And wear the same shorts that he wore in the first 3 Rocky films, as a way of tradition to keep the Rocky series going, the universe going. 9 years old when he made this film. Same age when Burgess Meredith was when he made Rocky from 1976. He actually had to break up a fight between 2 boxers. He said no to Creed because he did not think that there was no reason to continue the Rocky character. He was very happy and satisfied the way Rocky Balboa ended, that he did not feel motivated to do another Rocky film or continue the character. But the director persuaded him to do Creed, that he ended up changing his mind because of that. Rocky Saga. 20 pounds of muscle for the role by working out 3 times a week and then increasing to 6 times a week. He was on a very strict diet, so he had to do all the boxing scenes by himself. A series where Burt Young and Tony Burton did not play their characters, Paulie and Tony Duke. Character Bianca, who was a singer. In real life, Tessa Thompson is a singer herself in real life. Time when he had finished wrapping up Fruitvale Station, and he had met Sylvester Stallone talking about doing a Creed film, a Rocky spin-off. But unfortunately, their conversation only lasted 1 hour. For Michael B. Jordan, they had previously done Fruitvale Station together. Flashback scenes of Apollo Creed. Inspiration from boxers for the character Adonis Creed. Like Pernell Whitaker and Timothy Bradley. The name in the title. Distributed by Warner Brothers. This was Robert Chardoff's last film he did before he died. When I ever played a boxer, the first time he ever played a boxer was on an episode of Law and Order, where Rocky was a supporting character, not the main star. Balboa did not reprise a role in this movie. And Apollo have a secret closed door fight. You wonder who won? The answer is Apollo. Actually, Sylvester Stallone's real-life son, who had passed away 3 years prior, where the F word is used. Franchise that he used to watch it with his family when he was a kid. That when he made Fruitvale Station, that he wanted to make it a more personal touch story, just like Rocky in a way. On their first date is a very well-known Philly cheesesteak restaurant called Max. At Victor's Cafe in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I forgot to mention in my last video that I've actually eaten at that restaurant. It's really good food. The waiters and waitresses sing opera in between. Hope you liked and enjoyed it. Like the video, subscribe, hit that notification button to get my latest updates on my channel. Thanks.